Storytime on how I slept with my best friend's husband on their wedding day. Okay, so boom. I have a best friend and we've been best friends for 10 years. I love her and care about her, but I have one huge problem. I'm in love with her soon-to-be husband. It's complicated. But let's call him John. Rewinding 10 years back when I met my best friend, I also met John. He was actually my friend first and I really liked him. I told my best friend about him and wanted to get to know him more, so I invited him to come out to the movies with us. Well, by the end of the night, my best friend made a move on him and they ended up kissing. My heart was broken, but when I was in the car with my best friend, she said that we weren't dating yet and it was fair game. At that point, I distanced myself from him because I felt weird about the whole thing, and they eventually started dating. About a year later, one day I was alone with John. And on this day, everything changed between us. Okay, so boom, like I said, about a year later, one day I was alone with John. He actually told me that I was the one he wanted, but thought since I invited him to the movies with my best friend and that she made the move, he basically thought I was passing him on to her, my friend. I told him, no, that's crazy. I liked you. And we both laughed and hugged it out, but that hug was pretty passionate. The chemistry and overall energy between us changed, but we never acted on it. Now, fast forward 10 years later, on their wedding day, we were all in the same hotel, but different rooms getting ready. When it was time for all of us to get ready, all the girls went to one room and then all the guys went to the other. My best friend sent me to her room to get a charger, and when I entered the room, John was there. I told him I'm sorry that I barged in, and he was like, yeah, that's not a problem. But then he walked up to me and, okay, so boom, like I said, I told him I'm sorry for barging in, and he said, yeah, that's not a problem. But then he walked up to me and said, I don't know, I just can't help it. Every time I see you, I almost wish it was you. And I know y'all gonna hate me for this, but literally for 10 years, I've been fighting off my urges, but at the moment, I just couldn't. I was in love with him and he's not married yet, so fair game, right? Well, we ended up doing the nasty and it was very passionate. Then I went back to the girls' room and acted like nothing happened. I feel like shit, but I can't help but be happy that we at least shared that little moment together. I mean, y'all, I always liked him. We never acted on it again, but now I'm just wondering if I should say anything or should I just leave it alone and never do it again? What should I do, y'all?
Story time about how I got stuck in an elevator with my ex and we ended up doing the dirty. My ex and I broke up in 2020 during COVID. Disclaimers, not my story time. I was sending me on Instagram. Our relationship was really toxic. You know, the usual. He was super controlling, jealous. He would try to control everything I did, who I would hang out with. And he even envied my career. After dating for 6 months, I told him that we should reevaluate our relationship. I actually had no intention of breaking up with him. I literally just wanted us to sit down and talk about a relationship, talk about what we wanted for it, and if we could see ourselves together in the future. Well, he took this as me saying that I wanted to be with other guys, so he instantly broke up with me and gave me no chance to talk. He told me I wasted his time, and that he had rejected really hot girls in order to stay faithful to me. I knew this was a sign that we shouldn't be together, so I simply let him leave. A few days after that, he started sending me messages on Instagram asking me why I was going out. I told him he needed to remember that he was the one that broke up with me, and that he had no right to ask me anymore what I was doing or who I was hanging out with. Then he sent me a drunk voicemail telling me that he would never find anybody like me, which he's totally right about, and for me to give him another chance. This is when I had to make a really hard decision. I chose to block him, delete his phone number, and delete him out of my life. I decided to work on myself, so I started going to the gym every single day. A few weeks later, I'm on the treadmill and I see my ex walk in. He knew that was my gym and he signed up to it. I won't lie, I was really flattered. The first thing he did was come up to me and try to strike up a conversation. I really had to resist the temptation to talk to him. I told him that right now wasn't a good time since I was working out. I started seeing him every single time I went to the gym after that. Our relationship had always been really toxic, so I wouldn't have put it past him to start stalking me. Even though I had done a lot of work to get over him, part of me still really liked him. Every time I would see him, I would get butterflies, and I was actually flattered by the fact that he was following me around, which I know sounds terrible. But every time he would try to talk to me at the gym, I would just politely tell him it wasn't a good time, which he surprisingly respected. So the gym I go to is actually pretty fancy. There's all these different classes, so I decided to sign up to a few. Well, the instructor of this class was really good looking. After every single class, the trainer would always try to talk to me. Every time he would pass by me at the gym, he would say hello and just talk to me. And of course, I would literally sit there and have 5-minute conversations with him, whether or not my ex was around. After about a week of me talking to the trainer, I get a message from my ex on Instagram. He starts asking me if I'm interested in the trainer, and of course I said no. I told him that he needed to leave me alone and stop watching me at the gym. That's when he confessed his feelings and told me that he was still in love with me, and that he would do anything to get back with me. Luckily, I stayed strong and told him that I needed him to respect my space. The following day when I saw him at the gym, he tried to give me a hug. It was super awkward and I actually told him not to. The trainer came up to me and asked me if everything was okay in front of my ex. My ex, of course, started telling him that he needed to mind his own business. I could tell that the trainer was jealous and I could tell that my ex was jealous. It was super awkward, but I felt really flattered. And it made me really happy that my ex was starting to see the value in me, although it is sad that it took this to make him realize it. Luckily, things didn't escalate, but my ex pretended to leave the gym. When I left the gym later on, my ex was parked next to my car waiting for me. He tried to talk to me, but I just told him I didn't have time. That's when he went in for a kiss. I turned my face away, but he grabbed me and kissed me anyway. He told me that he wouldn't stop trying to win me back and that I was the love of his life. After he grabbed my face and kissed me, I told him that he needed to back off. He told me that he wouldn't stop fighting for me and that I was the love of his life. I got in my car and went home. The very next day, I decided to go to the gym earlier just to avoid my ex. But what do you know? 10 minutes after I arrived, my ex shows up too. I decided I would literally not even make eye contact with him just so that he wouldn't come talk to me. I did a 30-minute workout and I started heading out of the gym. To get to my car, I had to take an elevator down. I get into the elevator and as the doors are closing, my ex sticks his hand in. He comes in and asks me if we could talk. I told him no once again. That's when he pressed the stop button on the elevator. I didn't freak out right away because I didn't think the elevator would get stuck. I decided to give him a chance and I heard what he had to say. Basically, he told me that he loved me and that he wanted to try to make things work again. I told him that I would think about it, but he needed to let me leave. I pressed the button on the elevator, but it wouldn't go. That's when we realized we were stuck in the elevator. Neither of our phones got signal, so there was no way I could call the gym or anybody in the building to help us. Before I knew it, a whole hour had passed and we were still stuck there. That's when my ex started begging me to kiss him. I kept saying no, but that didn't stop him. He went in for the kiss and it just didn't stop. And, you know, we did it. Luckily, someone let us out of the elevator a few minutes later. Long story short, we got back together after that. Now I'm having all these doubts. He's trying to be better, but I can tell he still wants to control me. I want to set boundaries with him, but I don't know how. Also, the trainer is still showing interest in me. What should I do?
This girl literally tried to get with my boyfriend. I've literally never been so mad. As we all know, me and my boyfriend went on vacation to Las Vegas. And one of the things I really wanted to do while we were down there was to go ice skating. Now, the issue is that I'm really good at ice skating. My boyfriend is not good at ice skating at all. Like, he barely knows how to skate. So a lot of the times when we go ice skating, I'll skate by myself for like 10 minutes. And my boyfriend will just be like going around the ice rink really slow, like trying not to fall down. Just so that I can skate for a little bit and then I can help him. Because I love ice skating. Anyways, so we get to the ice rink. And me, my boyfriend, and two of my boyfriend's friends went with. So before we get on the ice, I tell my boyfriend that as soon as we get on, I'm gonna skate around for like 10 minutes and then I'll help him skate. He said, okay, that's fine, have fun. Cool, dope. So I get on the ice and I'm skating around for like 10 minutes. And after a while, I'm like, why haven't I seen my boyfriend? Where's my boyfriend at? So I look around trying to find him and then I see him skating with another girl. He was ice skating with some random girl. When I say my blood was boiling, I've never been this mad. So I go over to them and I like look at my boyfriend like, what are you doing? And he just gives me like this look. So I'm like, okay, come over here. We go to the side of the ice rink and he's like, yo, this random girl just came up to me and told me that she wants to help me skate. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, I've been looking for you this whole time. Like, she literally just randomly came up to me and said that she wanted to help me skate. He didn't want to seem rude, so we said okay. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Whatever, like, whatever. But I will now help you skate. I will help you. Not her. Not her. So after that, me and my boyfriend are like skating around the rink a couple times. I'm helping him skate. We're having a cute little couple time. And all of a sudden, I see that little girl again. And I literally cannot believe she did this. Like, the nerve, the audacity. She skates on over to us and she's like, hey, do you want me to help your boyfriend skate? That's my job. As his girlfriend, that's my job. Like, honey, I want to know where you got the audacity from. So I tell her, no, it's fine. Like, I'm helping him. And she skates away. I'm thinking, this is the last of her. She won't do anything else. No, I was wrong. We skate around for like 20 more minutes and I was on my lady day, so I had to, you know, do some situating in the bathroom. So I tell my boyfriend, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go to the bath. He's like, okay, fine. I go to the bathroom. I come back out. My boyfriend is in the corner of the ice rink, like against the wall on the ice. And the girl's just standing there talking to him. And my boyfriend's just sitting there on his phone like, God help me. So I go over there and I'm like, hey, what are y'all talking about? This girl just looks at me and then gets off the ice rink and leaves. Who are you and what's your problem? That is my boyfriend. And then my boyfriend basically told me that he was really weirded out and felt really uncomfortable. And nobody send him hate. We've been dating for 2 years. He's not a cheat. This was not him. This was just some weird girl who didn't understand respect. Not my boyfriend's fault.
Am I the asshole for customizing my burger? For my niece's 10th birthday a few days ago, we went to a burger place. I'm pretty picky about food, so I thought it would be easier to just take along some of my own stuff. The actual meat is okay, but they do horrible and overly sweet brioche buns. They also have fancy named complex burgers, and it makes the food basically inedible. It is so disgusting. I ordered their most basic burger with just some lettuce and had brought my own bread, some cheese, and some barbecue sauce. Nobody said anything at the time, none of the staff cared, and honestly I think the guys at the next table were pretty jealous. But afterwards, my sister told me that I was being a total asshole and ruined the evening and drew all of the attention away from my niece on her birthday. My niece didn't seem unhappy, and basically nobody commented beyond, haha, don't you want one of these fancy burgers? I got to eat food that was actually edible, and I don't think I was being an asshole, but I don't know. Was my sister just being weird, or does she have a point? Am I the asshole for letting my son drive to school despite his mum's protest? My son is 17 and a junior in high school. He got his license in October, but obviously there's a lot of restrictions. His mum, we are divorced, will not let him drive unsupervised, meaning she has to be with him. I let him drive my car to and from school and to school activities. She found out and demanded that I stop doing it. I told her that I trust him and he gets to be cool driving a Tesla to school, plus he gets a prime parking spot. Compounding the problem is that he apparently told her to piss off over something and she won't let him drive at all and said that I should follow suit. I told her that's between her and him. I don't want to get involved with my ex-wife's issues with our son driving as a means to control him. That's between them and I will not be adjudicating their conflicts, but am I the asshole?
Let's talk about the most manipulative color in all of color theory, in my opinion. Baker Miller pink. So in the 90s, people got super obsessed with Baker Miller pink. Basically, this guy came out and he was like, I did all this research and there's this one color, Baker Miller pink, and it's shown to calm people the fuck down. It's super anti-anxiety, super anti-aggression, to the point where even colorblind people, when exposed to Baker Miller pink, were shown to have the exact same results. They also became really tranquil and they also calmed down. It's just how impressive that color is. So immediately people were like, whoa, there's so much practical application to Baker Miller pink then. So they started painting mental health facilities Baker Miller pink. They started nicknaming it Drunk Tank Pink because all these jails painted themselves Baker Miller pink. Even some college football teams started painting the visiting team's locker rooms Baker Miller pink. And people got so hyped up about that they actually litigated against it. And now you have to have the same color locker room for visiting teams and home teams because the visiting teams felt that they were put at such an intense disadvantage because of the Baker Miller pink. But the guy who was doing all this research on Baker Miller pink neglected to mention a very key detail, which is that yeah, the first 15 minutes of exposure to Baker Miller pink, you do calm down. It does have a very tranquil effect. But after your body reaches equilibrium, it actually reacts negatively to Baker Miller pink, almost like it resents the fact that it was forcibly chilled out. And you end up being way more anxious or way more aggressive than you were at the beginning before exposure to the color. So it totally negates the purpose of Baker Miller pink, basically. But he didn't want to like say that part because that doesn't sound as cool. So he kind of like suppressed it and it was already too late. So now there's all these jails that are Baker Miller pink, and although, yeah, when you come in from intake, maybe the first 15 minutes, you're like, wow, this is a really tranquil jail environment as far as jails go, it ends up hyping you the fuck up, and it's actually probably a huge liability.
I, 29 female, spoke to my parents who ghosted me 5 years ago after my wedding, and have now reached out. My husband, 30 male, used to be my boss. About 9 years ago, I started working as his assistant. We spent about 2.5 years ignoring our mutual attraction until we gave in. We then went to HR, who reassigned me, and the whole thing was strictly above board from the time we began dating. I got pregnant about a year later, and my husband and I decided to just get married. While we'd only really been dating for about 1.5 years, we knew each other completely, loved each other, lived together, and there was a baby on the way. We knew how it would look. But I had to leave the company anyway due to problems with my new boss, so we didn't anticipate this causing any issues, except with my parents. They, 62 male / 57 female, have always been overprotective, so I knew they wouldn't like me dating my boss, and hadn't told them. But I had to tell them if I wanted them at my wedding. We decided to be mostly honest with them, about how it was strictly professional until it wasn't, how the second it got unprofessional we went to HR, how he had never taken advantage of me, but now we wanted to get married, and we wanted them there. We did not mention the baby because I felt that giving them that information in addition to the rest all at once would just break them. I was only about 4 months along when the wedding happened, so the bump was easily hidden by a flowy dress. The wedding itself went off without a hitch, and apart from my mother pulling me into the bathroom shortly before the ceremony to ask if I was sure about this, which I said it was, my parents seemed to take it well. The ceremony and reception were at 2 different venues, and we had to travel from one to the other, and my parents never arrived at the reception. I called them and got ignored, and then my brother called them and they told him that they were going home. I don't remember the exact reason they gave, but it amounted to them being tired and uncomfortable. I tried contacting them after the wedding, but found that I was blocked on everything except email, which I used to send them a long letter essentially saying that I'm an adult who made an adult choice, and I hope they can respect that. 5 years later, I have not heard from my parents since my wedding. My husband and I are not big in social media in general, but I recently posted something for our 5th anniversary in which I mentioned our 2 kids and 3rd on the way. Within a month of making this post, my parents left a voicemail saying they saw the post, and having had no idea that they had grandchildren previously, now want to meet them. I haven't responded, and there have been a few follow-ups since, then asking why I haven't. I don't know what to do, but my gut instinct is that 5 years is too long. And it's about the kids, not about them respecting my choices or relationship. However, I can't help but feel that I am being unfair, and my brother agrees, because I told them in my mail that if they could learn to respect my choice in my marriage eventually, then we could talk. And now I'm retroactively applying a time limit. My entire family despises my fiancé and I have to choose between them and her. Is she manipulating me and is there something I'm not seeing? I met my fiancé when I was at a very low point in my life. We instantly clicked and had a whirlwind romance, and I proposed after 3 months and we are now engaged. I feel like my family has never approved of her, or particularly liked her. They are all very educated and work professional jobs, while she's a college dropout who works as a hostess. She's starting a venture of her own, and I'm funding it for her. The problem started with my sister-in-law and my brother. They told me that 3 months was too quick, and that I should date her for longer. They also implied that she's a gold digger. They never used the term. They said this because she doesn't financially contribute. My fiancé isn't particularly fond of my sister-in-law, as sister-in-law is very rich and successful, and fiancé thinks that she is snobbish. The problem escalated when there was a family wedding and my fiancé wasn't invited. She is of a different race, so she accused my family of being racist, and said this to my parents' face. My parents never expressed an opinion about her, but that was their ticking point. My sister-in-law and brother added to this and told them about my financial contributions to her ventures and other details about her relationship. My parents said that I am making the wrong decision. I told my fiancé this, and she lashed out. She messaged my sister-in-law and told her that she is a horrible person for trying to wreck our relationship. My sister-in-law once again communicated this to my parents, and they have refused to pay for and attend the wedding. My fiancé says that her family will accept me with open arms, and that we can get married in City Hall. She accused my parents of being elitists, and said that they only like my sister-in-law because she's educated and of the same race. I love my fiancé, but I feel like she's trying to manipulate me into cutting all ties. I don't know what to do, and I don't want to reach a point of no return with my family. Any advice will be appreciated.
To tell me all the painfully embarrassing things that happened with your crush.
I absolutely win this. Oh my god. This still keeps me up at night. I had the biggest crush on this guy and I was at a friend's house and he ended up coming over. I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my god, this is my one chance to impress this guy. And let me just preface this by saying I'm not working with much. I don't have a lot of talents, but I can do something. So I finally get him alone and I'm like, this is it, now or never. I look at him, I'm like, do you want to see something cool? And he's like, yeah. And I lay on my back and he's just looking at me like, what? And I start queefing. I let out a couple of queefs and he looks at me, his facial expression changed. He looks at me, he goes, this is disgusting. He walks away, texts his mom comes, picks him up. I was so confused because I genuinely thought this was cool. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. I thought queefing on demand was cool.
Imagine we get lost in love. Nowhere to go when you're far out of touch. Maybe I just don't know enough of this language you call love. I'll leave it to my head to think, cause right now I'm in between. And lately I've been scared to blink, cause I've been losing too much time to sink. And all these voices in.
Hi guys, thank you for watching. I love you guys so much.